Eddie. Two Philadelphia guys. That's what you had there.
Yeah, that's right. You're a
Philadelphia guys in show business.
Well, as I watch these clips, I think, TV today doesn't allow for such in-depth thought and discussion. It's so rushed these days, and you got to get to the next commercial.
Everything has changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
The time frame of interviews started to change, I think, in the early 80s with MTV. When I first started doing my first show in North Carolina, if I thought I had a guest on it was interesting, I talked to them for the whole hour. And we beat the Today Show the whole time we're on the air.
Wow.
Not bragging, it's just a fact.
No,
that's what we did. And on Midday, the same thing. I mean, if you look at some of the things we did on Midday, very long segments with people. If we had somebody who wanted that one for a half hour, we had them on. It's virtually impossible to find something like that now on daytime TV. It's just changed. Change is inevitable. Growth from that change is optional. So I look at things and say it's just not the way it used to be. I'm not one of those people who say, oh, it's not as good as this or it's not as good as that. It's just different now. It's just different.
It's an optimistic way to look at it.
I'm an optimist.
Well, that's a great way to be. You mentioned Frank Sinatra in that interview, which was a great segue for me because I wanted to ask you about that interview. I wish we had video of it, or film.
There is video on my YouTube channel. Anyone who's watching now wants to see more stuff with celebrities, BillBoggsTV. It's free. Just type it into your browser, Bill Boggs, a whole bunch of stuff comes up. Then there's that little thing there. What is it? This thing is that little thing like this, and just type in a name. And if I've interviewed them and we have a tape, it will be there.
Well, let me see if I can find it while you tell us about your interview with Frank Sinatra. That was a tough get, wasn't it?
Are you on BillBoggsTV now, or just?
I'm on the YouTube page. Is that the same thing?
BillBoggsTV is on YouTube. Just type in Bill Boggs and Frank Sinatra. It should come up. Anyway, my mother is a Bobby Soxer and born the same year as Sinatra. And my father loved music, so I grew up in a house with a lot of music in it. And someone's opening. This is great. Someone's opening a pack of pretzels on camera. What would Frank say now? Wrong.
That's what the mute button is for. It works beautifully.
Anyway, I was down at Atlantic City working in Ocean City, New Jersey. And I went to Atlantic City and snuck in to see Frank Sinatra dressed as a busboy in 1960 at the infamous 500 Club, where Martin and Lewis actually got together, but really commercially for the first time. And I kept going to see Sinatra every chance I could get. And one weekend, friends of mine wanted to gather in Las Vegas for Easter weekend, for the long weekend. And we arranged that I was able to get tickets to Frank Sinatra late show, and Elvis, and another friend was able to get Elvis Presley early show. So we actually went to see Elvis and Frank on the same Saturday night in Las Vegas. Not a shabby evening of entertainment. And about 2 hours after the show, wandering around Las Vegas, Julie Rizzo, who was Sinatra's right-hand man, his compadre, saw me and knew me from Sammy Davis Jr., something I did with Sammy, and the TV show in New York, and asked me if I would like to meet Frank. Of course, I said yes. And he introduced me to Frank a half hour later, and one thing led to another. Without my asking, Frank said, I'm going to be this was Easter Sunday, so it was like April 75. He said, I'm going to be in New York in September with Ellen Basie. Maybe I'll come by and do your show. And, what did I say, Phil? When Frank said that to me, maybe I'll come by and do your show, what did I say? What do you think I said?
Of course I will.
I said, Frank, I'm not asking for anything. I took my hands down. He said, I know you're not asking, but maybe I'll come. And he did. And it was the longest interview of his career. And the first time he ever did a talk show.
You have a clip of it.
And you got the clip now?
Yes.
This is the end of the longest interview of his life. Here you go.
I would like to, if we could, maybe just close with this one thought. For those who, and if we could possibly have a glass with anything in it, is what I need for this. For anything, water, fluid. Water, anything.
You know water is dangerous.
Two, please.
You can start with a Johnstown flood.
Listen,
That's
I drink
dangerous.
very little water. Any rate, this is what I'm saying here. On stage at the Uris Theater,
Thank you.
each night, Frank Sinatra offered a toast. And it was a meaningful toast, I think, to everyone in the audience. And for those who did not have the benefit of being able to get into a totally sold out 2 weeks at the Uris, if you would perhaps make that same toast to all of us now, I think.
I'd love to. My toast is simply that I wish everybody who is viewing us, or even if they're not, if they just hear about it, I wish them thousands of times more that I've gotten in my life. I've been a man overly rewarded in my lifetime, and that's not buttering anybody up. It's a fact. And I appreciate what's happened to me, and I wish everybody in the world much more than that. And I wish everybody in the world a lot of sweet things and pleasant dreams and soft touching, hugging, and kissing, and peace in our time.
100
Cheers.
years to you, Mr.
100
Sinatra.
years. To the birthday party
To the birthday
of the
party.
year 2000.
That's a
There
beautiful.
you go, kids. How about that?
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep watching that. It's inspiring. What was Frank like off camera?
Well, with me, wonderful. We developed I think as the years go by, people have a tendency to overstate their friendship and their relationship with Sinatra. And I'm not one of those people. I was in his company 12 times. We weren't, he never called me on the phone. I never talked to him on the phone. I have a couple of letters from him about stuff that happened and on television that are very nice. He's extremely gracious to me and my mother and my son. He met my son Trevor when Trevor was only 7, and always I could always engage Frank in a conversation about something. He had opinions. He was a pretty erudite guy. Like, a lot of these people in show business didn't have the formal education. Sammy Davis Jr., for example, never went to school one day in his life, totally self-educated by his dad and so forth. But they're worldly people, they're cosmopolitan people. They meet a lot of important people and they absorb from film. I found my relation with Frank Sinatra is absolutely wonderful, extremely gracious with me. I mean, coming to do my show was to start there. What a gift, We didn't have to do that.
Do you still listen to Frank's music? Does it never get old?
No, I listen. Yes, I mean, I listen to Sinatra music frequently. I don't listen to as much music at home as I used to. But I go to a lot of live performances. On my phone, I have 12 hours of music I've curated for myself, and if I want, I can hit it. I'm not doing it now because we'll interfere with the whole process here, but I can hit it, and I have no idea what song's going to come up. It could be anything.
You want to be in it?
I love music.
It's a good quiz.
So
Music,
your career is
Okay, then I'm going to go.
power in our lives.
To continue.
Your career has spanned quite a few decades, so there's a lot to cover. And I want to do justice to a little more of it. Midday Live is, certainly what I remember the best, but there was also, the Food Network. You came to host and produce Bill Boggs' Corner Table on that channel. And it was the channel's first non-cooking show, as I understand. Were you a foodie at that time? How did that come about?
Well, the way that the Food Network came about was, let's see, I was working on Channel 4 as the anchor of Weekend Today in New York. Prior to that, I had been doing a radio show with my girlfriend, Ishbel Burnett, who was a chef with aspirations to be in media. And she was quite an attractive woman and an excellent chef. She was a personal chef for Jack Dreyfus, head of the Dreyfus Fund. She was a personal chef, didn't work in a restaurant. So I had this idea it'd be good for both of us, because at the time I wasn't really working, doing too much. There were, ups and down periods that we would do a show in Greenwich, Connecticut once a week. I got a deal with them. We did a 2-hour show. It was called Let's Eat. And it was about it was a food show on the radio. Then I got hired away from there to go to Channel 4. But my interest in food, well, then all the way back to midday, when we would do round tables once a week that were catered by local restaurants, and I'd have guests sitting around the table eating and so forth. So I would say that I was a foodie to the extent that I had worn out my American Express card maybe in restaurants over the years, but not somebody who was an authority on food, more than a person who could talk about the overall experience of food in restaurants and could interview chefs to really draw information out of them. So when I heard the Food Network was starting, I went to them. I went to Reese Schoenfeld, who knew me, and he had worked with Ted Turner, and Ted tried to hire me, and I, at one point, I didn't want to move to Atlanta, didn't want to work for Ted. And I pitched myself, and he hired me. I was part of the original team that helped launch the Food Network. And I was there for 9-10 years and created Bill Boggs Corner Table. The premise of the show sounds like a scam. I got the Food Network to pay me very good money to go to the greatest restaurants in America with big name celebrities, sit down, eat for free, and be on television. They paid me to have lunch with Sophia Loren, is the bottom line. And so that was a great, excellent period of my life. It was like a revival, had a long run. I did shows on the Travel Channel and other places, but on the Food Network, I had that nice long run and really invented my own show, Bill Boggs Corner Table. Bill Cosby, a fellow Philadelphian, really came through for me on that. He knew I needed a pilot, and of his own volition said, look, I'll show up at this restaurant, we'll shoot this thing, and you'll have your pilot. And it was a very nice thing he did for me. Without Bill, I might not have had the celebrity clout to get the first show on the air. But right after Bill, then I had Matt Lauer, I had Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of New York, Sophia Loren, Martha Stewart, a lot of really good names sitting down, Evander Holyfield, sitting down, having a meal with them in their favorite restaurants.
Such a great concept, really. It covers everything we find interesting in life. Food.
They're all on Bill Boggs TV. All of those shows are on Bill Boggs TV.
There's a wealth of great material to watch on there, and it's always there for you. You're a Philadelphia.
Debbie Reynolds, Eddie Fisher's ex-wife, was there on the corner table. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Phil.
No problem at all. I was going to mention Philadelphia. You're a Philadelphia native, and you've lived and worked here in New York so many years, including in the 70s and 80s, which were pretty rough times in some ways, crime-wise, and now we're going through a bit of a surge again during the pandemic. So, the big question that keeps being asked is, will there be some semblance of normal back to New York, what it was, or will it not bounce back in quite the same way? I know you're not a prognosticator, but what do you think?
First off, I don't think New York has ever been normal. So, no, I don't think New York was never normal. And it will not continue, will not become normal. I don't think New York will return to the way it was before the pandemic. And I don't think the country is going to return to the way it was before the pandemic. I think we've grown during the pandemic. Societal things have changed enormously. I'm concerned about the big buildings that are going up in New York and who's going to occupy the office space, because without question, there aren't as many people coming into New York working now as there were. I look out the window at 8 o'clock in the morning and I do not see those cars streaming up 8th Avenue that I used to see. That doesn't mean the city's going into twos, it just means things are going to be different. Right now, the city is much more quiet than usual in terms of street traffic, but in terms of sidewalk traffic and what's going on with the restaurants that are open, a lot of bomb, great vibrancy, a lot of vibrancy. I think that New York, if I were working in the administration, in the new administration, I would want a substantial budget to underwrite performing arts in various all 5 boroughs, that would draw people from all around the country to performances and art in New York beyond Broadway and off Broadway. New York may become more of a cultural hub than ever before and less of a business hub. That would be my prediction.
Well, that's a great idea. I wish you were running for mayor, Bill. You'd have my vote.
Who would want that job, Phil? I'd rather be president of the United States than mayor of New York. There's no hiding from it in New York. They're coming at you from all angles. You're on the street. At least in the White House, you can just, all right, I'm going to watch a movie tonight. I'll be calm for a little while. Oh, yeah. That's one job I would not want.
It is a tough gig. So you've had many jobs and many different, just you've taken on so many roles in life, and you continue to be active and vibrant and flourish. And it's really wonderful to see.
Thank you.
Any advice for our seniors here today on whether it doesn't have to be a big career mover, it could be something quite simple to just, keep active and enjoy days as they come and go?
Well, I know we're dealing with people in my age range here for the most part, are we not? Seniors, correct? Well, I think that my father taught me one thing: your health is your wealth. I think on a daily basis, your job is to do what you need to do in terms of your stress level, in terms of your exercise, in terms of your mental capacities and social engagements, to do what will help keep you healthy and vibrant. And it's over and over and over again. Today is Tuesday. You read Jane Brody in the science section of New York Times. It becomes the Mediterranean diet, exercise on a regular basis, low stress, social contacts with as many people as basically that seems to be what we should be doing. So that's what I would say. Do it.
And those are wise words at any age. I myself would like to follow that.
You can.
My wife.
Application is the key. Applying. You can think a lot of things are good, but unless you apply them to your behavior on a daily basis, it's all BS.
Amen. Wise words. I want to open it up in case the audience has any questions. Does anybody want to ask Bill Boggs something before we wrap it up for the day? We have a few minutes left. Christina, can I call on you?
Well, I would like to wrap it up because I've been here like 35 days from 100.
Wow.
So I have seen the world, and how you view it is the way that I came to a conclusion with, that the life can only be good for people like us to be happy, is to have the performing arts.
Performing heart?
Arts, music,
Performing arts.
and athletics. All the things that make the people happy. And if you do that, and you have morals and ethics and empathy for people and speak with them, you will live another 100 years. And I'm
Wow.
a little way from 100 years. I know I cannot live 100 years, but I'm going to go into what life has to offer with the last line of the Star-Spangled Banner, with the flags waving, and you go into the world bravely and together, because that's what it tells you at the end, the last word. And after I heard that 5 o'clock in the morning for a sleepless night, I was ready to jump up, and I can't, and parade behind anyone that is willing to do it and sacrifice whatever I had to do. And we have to do that in order to get another 100 years. That's how we'll wrap it up.
Lovely.
Phyllis, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that how much I enjoyed shows with Bill Boggs, and ask him, do you think today's interview shows they're too politically correct? Everyone seems to be afraid to say something that might offend someone. Do you find that that's happening, Bill?
Well, that's very interesting. We live in it seems like the society we live in now is if you're offended, you're correct. And which of course is, if you're offended, that's only you. It's not a reflection on the value system of the country. Yeah, we live at a time when people are being abnormally cautious. Look, in my book.
That's what I feel too, Bill. Yes.
Abnormally, I wrote this book, which is a satire. It's a comedy book. I started as a comedy writer. And on the cover, I put the book, and Philip will show it before we go off, politically incorrect humor. I don't want anybody coming after me. Why?
God bless it.
Yeah, it's right on the cover of the book. So you're warned. If there's something in the book that offends you, sorry, I warned you. You know, why did you read the book?
Yeah.
So don't get me started on this one. I just think
No, that's okay, because I find when I watch these shows, everyone's falling over their feet to compliment everyone, and we want to know what is really going on. And I hope it's okay that I called you Bill.
It's better than John or Harry, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Instead of Mr. Boggs.
Oh, geez, please. That's the last. No, not at all.
No, you're a delight. I mean, you look so terrific, and thank you so much. This has just buoyed us up so much. Thank you.
Listen,
and thank the show for giving us this show. I don't know if you're familiar with this format, Bill, but this is our lifeline, and we have programs. It's wonderful. And Carmela, I mean, this program is just wonderful for all of us.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's a good thing. It's my pleasure. You know.
Thank you so much, and I want to
thank you. Every day before I did a show, I would say to myself, if I can help one person today with this show, I've done my job. And that's the truth. And today, I thought the same thing before we started in. Once I knew we had the Zoom connection okay, because I'm always a little nervous about that. Just show the book one more time if you don't mind.
Sure. My pleasure.
And please come again, please.
I'll be back if you want me.
We love you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you,
And
Bill.
we'll have the corner table waiting for you.
Bill Boggs corner table, everybody. Thank you so much, Bill. This has been a real treat and a pleasure and an experience I'll always remember and cherish.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you. Be well, everybody.
Okay, Bill.
Stay safe.
I still have my gown from seeing Frank Sinatra's performance at Carnegie Hall, but it doesn't fit anymore, but I'm keeping it forever.
But you got it in your head. You have that show in your head.
No, I have it in my closet here.
Great.
That's great. Well,
Kudos, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful show.
Wonderful, wonderful. Brought back happy memories.
Call
Wonderful.
me again, call me. I'm around. This is a pleasure. I think I'm going to sign off now if we're finished. I mean,
we are.
okay?
Thank you so much, Bill. And
Thank you all. Keep it rolling, Phil. Stay healthy, everybody.
Stay well.
Bye.
You too, you too.
What's your dog's name?
Well, I don't have a dog. The dog in the book is Spike.
Spike,
Like the
okay.
wonder dog, yeah. Like-
Very good, very good. Thank you. I look forward to reading it.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
recording this.